There are cities that live through time. Others that are time itself. Athens belongs to the second kind. Its streets still carry the memory of every age. From the stones of its ancient temples to the domes of its Byzantine churches. In this video, we'll uncover those layers of history. The places where time never truly left. Come with us to explore as we step into Athens. Across the centuries, Greece passed through many transformations. From the archaic beginnings of its city-states to the grandeur of the classical age, the reach of the Hellenistic kingdoms and the long Roman and Byzantine rule. Over time, temples turned into churches. Marble columns were reused in new buildings. And cities like Athens kept transforming with every era. Through our walk, we'll uncover traces of all these layers, stories built by time upon time. Some cities speak for themselves. Athens is one of them. From afar, the Acropolis dominates the skyline. The Acropolis, high city in Greek, towers over the city with its unmistakable silhouette. It reminds us that here stood the most important temples. This was the place where political decisions and religious rituals shaped ancient Athenian life. The Acropolis has two entrances. The path to the west entrance takes about 10 minutes from Monastiraki, passing by Hadrian's Library and the Roman Agora. This is the busiest entrance, and it's the one we're taking now. But since it's still early in the morning, there aren't too many people yet. It's winter, so opening hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. In summer, they're a bit longer. A visit takes about 2 hours, and tickets are online or at the entrance. We'll cross the entire Acropolis, stopping at its main monuments. At the entrance stand the Propylaea, the monumental gateway that marks the beginning of the sacred hill. Beyond it rises the Parthenon, perfectly aligned with the ridge. To its north lies the Erechtheion, with its famous Porch of Maidens. On the southern slope, we'll later pass the Odeon of Herodes Atticus. And a bit further down, the ancient theatre of Dionysus, where the voices of tragedy once echoed through the city. Here we can ask ourselves something essential. Why is the Acropolis so important for human history? What does it mean that Greece is called the cradle of Western civilization? Democracy was born in Athens. So was the philosophy of Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. The Acropolis, with the Parthenon and its sculptures, set a timeless model of beauty and harmony. That ideal has inspired centuries of art and architecture. Greek theatre and literature are still alive today. They speak of struggles that are still part of the human experience. History, science, and mathematics also took root here. On these hills, the foundations of Western civilization were shaped. The Acropolis isn't just ancient ruins. It stands as the physical proof of all this. It is a stage where part of what we call Western civilization was born. The Propylaea marks the monumental entrance to the Acropolis. With its 6 large marble and limestone columns, it was built in the 5th century BC by Mesicles. It was more than a gate. It was the symbolic threshold between the city below and the sacred space of the Acropolis. Walking through it, just like the ancient Athenians, we leave everyday life behind and enter a place where art, politics, and religion come together. Once inside, the Parthenon impresses with its majestic presence. The temple was dedicated to Athena Parthenos, the city's protective goddess. It was built between 447 and 438 before Christ, when Athens was living its golden age under the leadership of Pericles. Its architects Ictinus and Callicrates achieved almost perfect proportions, while Phidias oversaw the sculptural decoration that told foundational myths. Even today, despite the passage of centuries, the Parthenon remains a model of architectural harmony and a symbol of cultural identity. From here, we have a view of Mount Lycabettus, the highest point in central Athens. At its summit stands the Whitechapel of St. George. From its terrace, you can enjoy one of the most breathtaking panoramic views of Athens. During the Ottoman rule, the Parthenon was used as a gunpowder store. In 1687, during the Venetian siege of Athens, the building was hit by artillery fire. The resulting explosion ripped apart the structure, destroying much of its interior and roof. A monument that had endured for over 2 millennia was left in ruins in a single moment. Those bright white sections we see among the stones are part of the ongoing restoration. They are made of new pentelic marble, the same kind once used by the ancient builders. It is added only where necessary, to give stability or to complete missing parts. The goal is not to hide the difference, but to preserve the monument's integrity. Over time, the new marble will slowly age, taking on a warmer tone that blends with the ancient stone around it. In an upcoming video, we'll explore the Acropolis Museum and learn more about the Parthenon through its collection. Very close by is the Erechtheion, known for the elegance of its porches and the delicacy of its decoration. It was built in the years after Pericles' death in honor of Erechtheion, one of Athens' first kings. Construction took place between 421 and 406 before Christ. The highlight of the site is the 6 caryatids. These are columns shaped like female figures. They hold up the upper part of the temple, known as the entablature, with timeless grace. What we see here are replicas. 5 of the originals are in the Acropolis Museum, and the 6th is kept in the British. Here, according to mythology, Athena and Poseidon fought for control of the city. Each offered a gift to the people. Poseidon struck the ground with his trident, and a spring of salty water appeared. Athena planted an olive tree, a symbol of peace and prosperity. The Athenians chose the olive, and the city came under Athena's protection. The olive tree beside the Erechtheion was planted in 1952. It grew from a shoot of the previous tree, which, according to tradition, descended from the sacred tree of Athena. At this time, the tour groups start arriving, and the Acropolis begins to fill with visitors. For us, it's a signal to continue exploring other areas. At the foot of the Acropolis is the Odeon of Herodes Atticus. It's a later Roman monument, unlike the ancient Greek temples, built almost entirely of stone. It was completed in the year 161 after Christ by Herodes Atticus in memory of his wife. What makes it distinctly Roman is the stage facade. It once rose in multiple levels, decorated with columns, statues, and rows of arches, an element the Greeks never used in their theatres. After its reconstruction in the early 1950s, it's still in use, with its marble seats and perfect acoustics. Today, it hosts performances from May to October as part of the annual Athens Festival. We paused for a moment, imagining the music of the past filling this space. As we walk among the ruins, it's easy to sense how deeply art was woven into daily life. How theatre, music, and ritual were part of the same rhythm that shaped the city. We arrive at the Theatre of Dionysus, the birthplace of classical Greek drama. It was first laid out in the mid-6th century before Christ. About 2 centuries later, under Lycurgus, it was rebuilt in stone and given its monumental form. The theatre stayed in use throughout the Roman period. But in Byzantine times, it fell silent and was abandoned, until its ruins were rediscovered in the 19th century. We leave the heights of the Acropolis behind, descending to walk the most iconic streets of Athens. We walk down into the old quarters of the city, where Plaka and Monastiraki blend together. Narrow cobblestone streets and lively squares invite us to wander, to discover small cafes and quiet passages. Around us, small shops open onto the street, their windows filled with clothes, old objects, and handmade pieces. Orange trees are everywhere. Between tradition and modern life, the city reveals itself in the details, in colors, textures, and the quiet rhythm of people passing by. As we walk down the pedestrian street, we come across an old church. A soft Greek melodies fill the air, creating a calm, timeless atmosphere that blends with the city around us. Kapnikarea is one of the oldest churches in Athens, dating back to the 11th century. Its Byzantine architecture is well preserved. The stonework is intricate and the layout is compact and cross-shaped. Inside, the walls are covered with icons and frescoes, showing centuries of devotion and artistry. The frescoes were painted in the mid-20th century. They follow the Byzantine style, keeping alive the visual language that has connected faith and art in Greece for more than 1,000 years. The small luminous interior feels intimate, a quiet space in the middle of the city. Around the church, the pace of the city softens. Amid the shops and the music of the street, there's a quiet harmony. Monastiraki is the neighborhood where the city beats the strongest. Its name means little monastery in Greek, a reference to the small monastery that once stood on the site of today's Monastiraki Square near the church of Parthenon. Over time, the name came to represent the entire neighborhood. Narrow streets stretch out in every direction, lined with shops, cafes, and small squares where people gather. For now, we lose ourselves in the flea market. Among colors, scents, and old objects, we feel like explorers in a maze of history. Just a short walk away, the Ancient Agora awaits. And later, we will make our way there to continue exploring. After wandering through it all, we take a break to try local flavors. The air carries the aroma of olive oil, lemon, and freshly baked bread, the soul of Greek cuisine. We try a gyro and a souvlaki that connect us with everyday Athens. Walking through the narrow streets of Athens, we arrive at the Agora. It was the place where the city lived its public life. At the very entrance of the Agora, the railway passes between the ancient stones. Through this entrance, we step into the world of ancient Athens itself. We'll explore its open spaces and the corners that still preserve traces of the past, stopping at some of its most notable monuments. We'll walk along the paths that connect plazas, ruins, and structures, letting each step bring us closer to the daily life of ancient Athens and to the history that lingers in the air. Among the traces that remain, two landmarks stand out as guides to reading this space. The Temple of Hephaestus is a remarkably well-preserved monument from the 5th century before Christ. The other is the Store of Atelos, reconstructed in the 20th century and now transformed into a museum. That is the building we see to our left. Together, they allow us to imagine how the Agora once balanced monumental presence with everyday use in the life of ancient Athens. From the early archaic period, and especially from the 6th century before Christ, this space became the heart of the polis. It was the stage where people spoke, decided, judged, worshipped, and traded. The word itself tells us its meaning. Agora is related to the verb agiro. It means to gather. Both words share the same root. So it was more than just a market. It was above all a meeting place. Commerce lived side by side with debate, with rituals, and with philosophy. This dual nature, the political and the everyday, is key to understanding it. Unlike many ancient cities where power was centered around palaces, the Greek polis created public spaces. In them, citizens could gather and take part in city life. The Agora was the heart of the city and the stage for civic self-governance. Beyond assemblies and courts, it also hosted religious ceremonies, festivals, and competitions. Music, gymnastics, and literature mixed the sacred with everyday life. Here, philosophers, artisans, merchants, and magistrates all shared the same space. Everyone from the city passed through these grounds. This overlap of functions is why walking through the site today feels so intense. So many layers of urban life are superimposed. To walk through the Agora is, in truth, to step into the daily scene of the classical city. It is not just to pass among ruins. Rather, it is to stand in the place where Athens was debated and shaped. Here, the very idea of citizenship was not an abstraction. It was a practice lived out every single day. The Temple of Hephaestus is one of the best preserved Doric temples in Greece. One of its most striking features is the roof. It has survived while most ancient Greek temples lost their coverings centuries ago. Here the structure has been preserved. It lets us glimpse the building much closer to how it once was. It was built around 449 before Christ. It is dedicated to Hephaestus, god of the forge, and Athena, protector of craftsmanship. Its good condition is possibly due, in part, to its conversion into a Christian church in late antiquity. This prevented its materials from being looted, as happened with other temples. After centuries as a Christian church, it became one of the first archaeological sites used as a national museum during much of the 19th and early 20th centuries. This marked a new chapter in its history. The transformation of an ancient place of worship into a symbol of the cultural and historical revival of modern Greece. To understand its design, we need to look at the principles that guided Greek architecture. What we call orders are systems that combine elements and proportions according to precise rules. The three classical orders are Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian, each with its own character. Here we see the Doric order at its finest. The columns are sturdy and simple. The capitals are austere, with echinus and abacus. The architrave is plain, and the frieze is divided into metopes and triglyphs. Entasis is a slight swelling of the columns at the middle. It corrects an optical effect. Without it, a straight column would appear concave in the center. This creates the illusion of straightness and greater strength. As we walk through the Agora, we move among the ruins from classical times. Along the way, we come across a different kind of monument, the Church of the Holy Apostles. Built in the late 10th century, it quietly stands as a witness to a later era. Its architecture reflects the Middle Byzantine style. The plan combines cross and square and tetraconch features. A central dome rises above the crossing, supported by 4 columns. The walls reveal a careful blend of stone and brick in decorative patterns. Here and there, traces of ancient marble hint at the layers of history embedded in the building. Partly constructed over a 2nd century nymphaeum, the church is one of the few medieval monuments that survived within the Agora. Today, it shows its restored Middle Byzantine form, allowing us to sense the continuity of the city's long and layered past. Here, amid the stones and open spaces, it's easy to imagine the lives that unfolded here long ago. Conversations, small decisions, the routines of daily life. They linger quietly, as echoes we can feel even now. Coming out of the Agora, we find ourselves on Adriano Street, with cafes on one side and the ruins and railway on the other. It is named after the Roman Emperor Adriano, and it is one of the oldest streets in Athens still in use. The air carries a slow rhythm. Glasses clink nearby and voices drift through the street. From here, you get another nice view of the Stoa of Attalos. Lined with shops, cafes, and small squares, it preserves the character of the historic Plaka neighborhood. On the right, we can see the remains of Hadrian's library, a Roman structure built in the 2nd century as a grand repository of knowledge.
Πάμε να γλεντήσουμε σε φινομά
As evening falls, we head to one of the many rooftops to toast with the city at our feet. The sun sets and the Acropolis begins to glow in front of us. A perfect moment to pause and see Athens from another perspective. Okay guys, that wraps up our first exploration of Athens. Next time we'll take you somewhere different. Corners of the city that usually stay off the tourist path. If you want to keep exploring places with us, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, give the video a like, and let us know in the comments what you think. These small actions really help us keep this project going. Thank you for joining us on this journey. See you in the next one. Bye bye.